Hey guys, it's Ryan on the Syntax Byte, and in this video I'm going to show you how to both create a RecyclerView in Android Studio in Kotlin and put two different types of dividers on it. So we have both the simple divider and the complex custom divider. Complex custom divider is you can change the color, the size, you can even put a gradient on it. So there's lots of options, and also we'll get to the simple divider really quickly in the video. It's just a simple one line of code. You can skip right to it if you want. So we're going to show you how to do all that with dividers and recycler views in Android today. So let's get started. Okay, so to get started, we're just going to create a new project here. I'm going to do everything from scratch. If you already have a recycler view kind of created in your project, you just need to know how to do the divider, you can skip ahead a little bit. But I figure it's easiest just to start this one from scratch. So I'm going to create an empty activity project. I'm going to call it divider YT. Okay, we're gonna keep that in Kotlin. 21 API level is fine. I'm just gonna go finish. Okay, so the first thing I think we actually need to do is include the Android X RecyclerView library. So I'm just gonna copy the line here, make sure we have that, just move forward with that. There we go. So then we can go ahead and do a Gradle project sync, and we should be able to use the RecyclerView from the support library. Perfect. So moving on from that, first off, we're just going to place a recycler view in the layout file. So I'm going to open that up. Activity main. Okay, perfect. So we have that. And we just need to place a recycler view in this layout. So we can go ahead and do a recycler view. That's going to be a wrap content, match parent on the height, match parent on the width, wrap content on the height. I want to go ahead and give this an ID. We can just call it our main recycler view, and it's unhappy. View is not constrained at the top. We're just going to take this constraint layout and quite simply change it to a linear layout, because for our purposes today, that's just going to be the easiest way to go. Thank you, Questrade. Thank you, Kudo. Okay, so that's just going to be the easiest way to go in terms of just making sure that this is a nice and simple layout for us today. I'm also going to create a row layout, so we'll call that row.xml. This root element can also be just a simple linear layout. Just create that, and inside of that, I'm going to have a text view, which is just going to be a wrap content. Wrap content, very simple. And then, nope, not the layout gravity. I want to give that an ID, and I'm just going to call that item name. So a super simple row XML as well. Okay, so now that we got those two layout files created, we can go ahead and jump in and create some of the Kotlin files that we need. The first one being the main adapter. So I'm just going to create a new Kotlin file /class. It's going to be a class. I'm going to call it main adapter. And so this is going to be our RecyclerView adapter. We're also going to have it take a private value of the data set that we want, which is going to be a list of strings. Perfect. And RecyclerView adapter. And that is going to be of type main adapter dot main view holder, and we're going to get an error because we haven't created that class yet, but we'll do that in just a moment. So when we get inside this class here, we can go ahead and do another inside class, main view holder. And this is going to be our view holder. So if you've never created a recycler view before, this is what allows us to access that text text view in the row that we created. So this is going to allow us to access stuff in our rows. Okay, and I'm going to create a value label, which is a text view, so that's going to be a reference to that text view. Find view by ID, text view, and that's going to be r.id.item name. Perfect. And then we can go ahead and do as suggested here, and yeah, import. It's going to be RecyclerView.viewHolder. So that reg goes away. Now we just should have some members that we need to implement. So we need these three methods. I'm gonna just select those two for now. And the reason is that with some simple Kotlin magic, override function get item count, and then we just set that to always return the dataset.size. So we're having this list passed in. We're not allowing these to be changed throughout the runtime of the application, so it's really easy just to do that. And I believe if you just made this a mutable list, this would still work even if you did need to change the items throughout the runtime of the application. So that one's a real simple one to do with the Kotlin there. So on this onCreateViewHolder, what we need to do is we need to inflate the layout. Okay, so this is going to be, so for every item in our list, a view holder gets created. Okay, and so we need to kind of inflate the layout, get that layout ready to go. And we tell, this is where we point it to the layout that we want it to use. So r.layout.row parent false. It's going to be those ones there. And then we just simply, we return an instance of that other class we created up there. So main view holder, we pass that the view that we just created. So we're saying, okay, use this layout. And then we pass an instance of that class here. So then we'll have a copy of this class for every row in our little list view with an item called label that we can use to set the text on that. So now on bind view holder is where we have a view holder. We have the view essentially, it's been created, but we haven't put any data in it. So this is where we can set the unique items for every row. So you see we get past the position, and we can use that to pull out the right data from the data set and put it on that label. So what we just want to do is we get past that holder, it has that element label, we could set the text to be dataset position, so the appropriate string in that list. Okay, and this is it. This is our super simple main adapter. So now we can go back to the main activity and just tell the recycling view to use that adapter. So how we do that, first of all, I want to create some data. So we're just going to create some dummy data in this case. It's going to be a list of strings, as I mentioned. And how I'm going to do that is we can basically use this to create a list between 1 and 20, map to do something for each item in that list. And then we're going to take that and return a string. So item I. And so this will generate like 20 different strings, all like item 1, item 2, item 3, item 4, and put them in a list for us. So this is pretty handy for just creating some quick dummy data in a single line of code. But of course, you might have data from wherever you want, and that's okay. But in this case, I'm just creating some dummy data just so we can kind of test out the list view a little bit. So then we can say, okay, up here we need a couple variables. So this is going to be a value, private late init var. Because we're going to do this in the onCreate function. It's not happening in the constructor, so that's why it's late init. View adapter, main adapter. So that's going to be an instance of main adapter. Okay. Private late init var view manager, and this is going to be RecyclerView dot layout manager. And so what a layout manager does is it's like it tells us if it's it's going to be vertical or it's going to be a grid. It tells it like how to lay out the individual rows. Okay, and so we could just use a pre-built one, but we did have to create our own adapter there. So for the layout manager, we could just use a pre-built one. So our view adapter is just going to be an instance of that class we just created, main adapter. And in the constructor, I said I would pass it the data set, so I'm going to do that. And then view manager, this is what determines whether it's a grid or whether it's rows or what it is. We just use the simple linear layout manager and we pass it this as the context. Okay. So now we need to apply all of this stuff. So main RecyclerView dot apply will allow us to pass in this adapter and manager, so we can actually tell the RecyclerView how to work. So we do set fixed size as true. Set has fixed size, is true. And the reason we do this is because the size of the rows won't change during the runtime of the app, and by setting has fixed size true, because of that fact, the RecyclerView can perform a little bit better than if we were going to change the size of the rows. So if you're not planning to change the size of the rows, you just say true. And that helps it perform a little better. Adapter is going to be set to our view adapter. Perfect. Layout manager is going to be set to our view manager. Perfect. And that is going to be all for now. So now we have a basic RecyclerView up and running. Let's see if we can test it in the emulator and just make sure everything appears, and then we can add the dividers in. Okay, perfect. So we have here just a very super simple RecyclerView with very inconsistent heights, apparently. So let's just double check in our row what's going on there. Oh, here we have match parent. We probably want actually wrap content. That should fix that issue. Width can be match parent. Width can be match parent, but the height should be wrap content on that. My apologies. Let's just go ahead and restart this. Okay, what did that do? Stop. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and hit the play again and see what happens. Okay, perfect. So that looks a lot better. So we didn't have that weird height issue. So we've got all of our items in here. They all look good. Items 1 to 20. Of course, you can mess around with the row layout to change, how big these labels are, whether there's any margin on them, if you want the text to be in the middle, etc. It's fairly easy to do. But what we're focusing on today is getting little dividing lines between these items. And so now we're going to go ahead and do that. So to do a simple dividing line, it's very, very simple. So there's already a class built into the API to do it, and you just basically add it in as an extra line in your apply function here. So at the bottom of it, you can do an add item decoration, okay? And then you need a class. You can use DividerItemDecoration. You pass it this.context, okay? And then you give it a a direction. So DividerItemDecoration.vertical. So if you were using a grid layout or something, you might want to use horizontal, but in this case we're doing a vertical divider, which is actually going to go horizontal, but it's dividing items that are situated vertically upon each other, if that makes sense. So we can go ahead and pause this. We could just restart it again, and what we should find is that we have a nice little dividing line. Perfect. So we have these nice little dividing lines. So again, if you want to adjust the spacing or whatever, that's really something I would do in the row layout. But if you just want to adjust, like say, the color of the lines, then we can adjust this divider item decoration a little bit. So I mean, for most applications, these lines are honestly probably fine. The color is like okay, it's appropriate, all looks good. But let's say that you just really want to have like pink lines or something. I'm going to show you guys how to use a custom drawable so that you can customize like the width of the line as well as the color, make a few other modifications, and really just make it as custom as you want. So in this case, I mean, the default drawable probably works okay, but we can pass it our own unique drawable in order to change the way that it appears. So what I'm going to do over here is in drawable, I'm going to create a new drawable resource file, and I'm going to call this divider.xml. Okay. The root element is going to be a shape. Okay. So okay, there we go. So there's our shape. In our shape, I'm going to specify that it's going to be an Android shape rectangle. Okay, so this is going to be a rectangle. I'm going to have a size element. So Android width is just going to be 1 dp. So it's just going to repeat over and over. An Android height. You can modify the height a little bit, and it will change the appearance somewhat. In this case, I'm gonna go for like 3 dp or something. So this should be a little thicker than the default, although I don't know what the default is. So, and then we're gonna give it a solid color. Okay. You could theoretically even do a gradient here. You could do all sorts of stuff here, but probably the most common is just you just want to have a different color. So we're just gonna use a hex code. I'm gonna make mine completely black. Okay, so mine's gonna be completely black. Okay, and it gives you like a preview here, like of the color. Okay, perfect. So I'm just gonna have mine be completely black. Okay, so now what we need to do is we're gonna create a variable item decoration up here. Do the divider item decoration, this context vertical. So we can literally just cut this code out here, place it here. The reason we're creating a variable there is so we can modify it. So item decoration dot set drawable, and then we're going to say get drawable r.drawable dot divider. Okay, and then down here we can set item decoration. So we get a nice little preview of our little square there that's black. And so now what we can do is we can go pause this and try it again, and we should, instead of having those little gray lines, we should have our nice black lines. No errors, that's what I like to see. Perfect. So you can see that the lines are a little thicker and they're all black. So again, the creativity is yours. It is yours to do what you want with. You could have crazy colors. You could try and put a gradient on there. You could really do a large number of customizations. You can make it thicker. You can make it thinner. It's really up to you. But that is just an example of probably one of the most common things is just a thick, solid color of your choosing. So I hope you guys have found this video helpful in terms of putting dividing lines in your recycler view. I'll have a link to my written tutorial below also if you want to get access to the code and just kind of follow along with the tutorial a little bit more at your own pace. All the code is down there, so you can literally just copy it straight into Android Studio and just go from there. Have fun customizing it, guys, and we'll see you in the next video.